Today, we are going to discuss one of the most controversial, destructive, and dangerous figures in human history. Adolf Hitler, full name Adolf Hitler, the man whose rise to power reshaped Germany, Europe, and the entire world, and whose actions led to unimaginable suffering, war, and genocide. This is not a story of greatness or glory. This is a story of how anger, failure, hatred, propaganda, and blind nationalism can destroy nations and millions of innocent lives. It is a warning from history, a reminder of what happens when power is built on fear and lies. This video covers Adolf Hitler's full life story, from his childhood and youth to his political rise, dictatorship, World War II, the Holocaust, his final days, and death. Adolf Hitler was born on April 20, 1889, in the small town of Braunau am Inn, located on the border between Austria and Germany. At the time, this region was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. His father, Adolf Hitler, was a strict and authoritarian customs officer. His mother, Clara Hitler, was gentle, caring, and deeply devoted to her son. Hitler had a difficult childhood. His father was harsh, controlling, and often physically abusive. Adolf wanted Adolf to become a civil servant, but young Adolf dreamed of becoming an artist. This constant conflict created resentment and anger that would stay with him for life. In contrast, Hitler was emotionally very close to his mother, and her love deeply shaped him. As a child, Hitler performed poorly in school. He showed little interest in structured education and struggled with discipline. However, he was fascinated by German nationalism, history, and mythology. He admired strong leaders and believed deeply in the idea of German cultural superiority, ideas that later became dangerous obsessions. When Hitler was 18 years old, his mother died from breast cancer. This devastated him emotionally and financially. Soon after, he moved to Vienna, hoping to pursue a career in art. However, he failed the entrance exam for the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts not once, but twice. This rejection crushed his dreams and left him bitter and directionless. Living in Vienna, Hitler fell into poverty. He lived in homeless shelters, struggled to earn money, and survived by selling small paintings. During this period, he was exposed to extreme political ideologies, especially antisemitism, nationalism, and racial theories. Instead of blaming his failures on circumstances, he began blaming others, particularly Jews, immigrants, and political opponents. These ideas were not created by Hitler, but he absorbed them, amplified them, and later weaponized them. In 1913, Hitler moved to Munich, Germany. When World War I broke out in 1914, he volunteered for the German army. The war gave Hitler a sense of purpose and belonging he had never experienced before. He served as a messenger on the Western Front and was wounded twice. He received the Iron Cross, a rare honor for someone economically destroyed. The Treaty of Versailles punished Germany severely, taking territory, imposing massive reparations, and limiting its military. Inflation skyrocketed, unemployment spread, and public anger exploded. This chaos created the perfect environment for extremist movements. In 1919, Hitler joined a small political group called the German Workers' Party. His powerful speaking ability quickly made him stand out. He could manipulate emotion, fear, and anger with frightening effectiveness. Soon, the party was renamed the National Socialist German Workers' Party or Nazi Party. Hitler rose rapidly through its ranks and became its leader. He created symbols, slogans, uniforms, and mass rallies designed to emotionally control people. His message was simple and dangerous. Germany was humiliated, enemies were everywhere, and only he could restore national pride. In 1923, Hitler attempted to overthrow the German government in what became known as the Beer Hall Putsch. The coup failed, and Hitler was arrested and sentenced to prison. However, this turned into an opportunity. While in prison, he wrote Mein Kampf, a book outlining his racist, anti-Semitic, and authoritarian ideology. In Mein Kampf, Hitler openly expressed his belief in racial hierarchy, hatred of Jews, rejection of democracy, and desire for territorial expansion. These were not hidden ideas. The world simply did not take them seriously enough at the time. After his release, Hitler chose a new strategy, gaining power legally. Throughout the late 1920s and early 1930s, Germany sank deeper into economic crisis due to the Great Depression. Unemployment soared, desperation grew. The Nazi Party exploited fear and frustration. In 1933, Adolf Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. Once in power, he moved quickly. Political opponents were arrested or killed. Free press was destroyed. Civil liberties vanished. Within months, Germany became a totalitarian dictatorship. Hitler declared himself Führer, meaning leader. The Nazi state controlled education, media, culture, and personal thought. Children were indoctrinated. Propaganda was everywhere. Dissent was dangerous. One of the most horrific chapters in history began: the systematic persecution of Jews, along with Roma people, disabled individuals, LGBTQ individuals, political dissidents, and many others. Laws stripped Jews of citizenship. Businesses were destroyed. Families were separated. During World War II, Hitler launched aggressive invasions across Europe. In 1939, Germany invaded Poland, triggering the war. At first, Germany achieved rapid victories using blitzkrieg tactics, but Hitler's ambitions grew reckless. The most horrific crime of the Nazi regime was the Holocaust, the organized, industrialized murder of 6 million Jews and millions of others in concentration and extermination camps. This was genocide on an unprecedented scale. Men, women, and children were transported, imprisoned, tortured, and killed. As the war continued, Germany faced increasing resistance. Hitler refused to retreat or compromise. His obsession with total control and racial ideology overpowered military logic. By 1944, Allied forces were closing in from all sides. In April 1945, Soviet troops surrounded Berlin. Hitler retreated into an underground bunker. The empire he promised had collapsed into ruins. Germany was destroyed. Millions were dead. On April 30, 1945, Adolf Hitler died by suicide alongside Eva Braun, whom he had married just one day earlier. His body was burned to prevent public display. Germany surrendered shortly after. Hitler's death marked the end of his rule, but not the end of his impact. The scars of his actions remain. World War II caused over 70 million deaths. Entire cities were destroyed. Families were erased. Humanity was forever changed. Today, Adolf Hitler is remembered not as a hero, but as a symbol of how dangerous hatred, unchecked power, and propaganda can be. His life is studied not to admire, but to understand, remember, and prevent history from repeating itself. This story is a reminder that evil does not begin overnight. It grows slowly through silence, fear, lies, and blind loyalty. History remembers Adolf Hitler not for creation, but for destruction.